guest, Mariola Haggar. Mariola, welcome. We're very pleased you could come. If life seems especially important to Mariola Haggar, perhaps it's because she came to this country from Poland in 1975 and because her father died of cancer 10 years ago, an event that intensified her interest in healthcare stocks. She has spent her career with them. She says she has never owned anything else. After working with two other Wall Street firms, she joined Prescott, Ball and Turben in 1987 as its healthcare analyst. Mariola, every day we read about holding down healthcare costs. Is that a long-term negative for the drug industry?
Actually, for the drug industry, I think that holding down costs longer term is actually a positive. Ultimately, the drug therapy is cheaper than surgery or any other medical therapy. So there will be many opportunities for technology companies, such as drug companies, to take advantage of the changing market dynamics.
The industry has been a bit out of favor lately, has it not, in Wall Street?
Yes. The drug industry, after having performed very well in 1989, when the drug stocks overperformed the market, year to date, the drug stocks have declined, and there were a couple of issues, a couple of worries. One of them, of course, was the rising dollar earlier this year. The second reason was the confusing outlook for the economy and whether this lending is actually going to be soft or not, or whether the economy is stronger than we originally thought. Drug stocks typically outperform other stocks in weaker economic times. And of course, there has been also proposed legislation in Washington which would control drug prices. I think neither one of these three issues or worries will really present a tremendous fundamental risk short term. So I would actually take advantage of the current weakness to selectively buy drug stocks.
Some people may wonder what the rising dollar has to do with it. That's because the drug companies have so many sales overseas and other currencies?
Yes, that's right. Typically, on the average, they have anywhere between 40 to 50% of sales derived from international markets. And so during the times when the dollar goes down, they typically benefit from currency translation. And in the times when the dollar goes up, they are affected negatively.
We just went through the list of some of the major diseases and some of the drugs being used against them. How important to you in analyzing a drug company is its new drugs?
It is the most important aspect, I think, of analysis of the drug industry, and also for each individual company, the R&D, how much they spend on it, the quality of R&D, and the product flow is probably the most important aspect of analyzing a drug company.
You've already indicated that you think the worries are overdone. Which specific companies do you like?
I like very much Merck because, in my opinion, they are an innovator company. They tend to target markets which are very large, underserved, where there are no existing good therapies available on the market. And they typically outpace their competition by several years coming to the market. I like Merck because it is a very focused company. 90% of their sales are derived from pharmaceutical products versus some other competitors who have diversified. It has one of the strongest unit growths, and that is very important, especially as the currency continues to fluctuate over time. You cannot count on additive benefit from currency translation. And of course, as there will be continuous price pressures in the drug industry going into the future, it is important to have strong unit growth. I think that is important to focus on.
You say you like Merck. It's certainly one of the most admired companies in the country.
Yes.
It's as admired as IBM was, as Xerox was, as a number of other companies whose stocks have underperformed have been. Is the same thing going to happen to Merck, that too many people know about it now?
I think it would be difficult to find anyone who doesn't know or hasn't heard about Merck. The stock, in fact, throughout 1980s has outperformed the market. In 1989, that wasn't the case, and the reason for that was because we had mergers occurring in the drug industry. Merck, being the largest pharmaceutical company, was omitted in the merger frenzy. As a result, it lagged. It is, however, the premier company, most profitable within the industry, and I think that with their new mega drugs, billion-dollar drugs, coming to the market, the Merck will outperform the market going into.
Do you have any other favorites?
Yes, I also like Bristol-Myers Squibb because of the synergies derived from the merger, which would accelerate the earnings growth rate. And my other choices would be also Lilly and Schering-Plough.
Suppose someone is looking for some smaller company. Do you have any there that you favor?
Within the pharmaceutical industry, there is a company called Mylan Laboratories, a generic drug manufacturer, which should benefit from patent expirations going into the future. Literally billions of dollars worth of drugs are going off patent in the first part of 1990s. In other areas of healthcare, I also have some favorites. Within medical devices, U.S. Surgical, Biomet, which is an orthopedic implant company, and within a large hospital supply sector, Baxter is currently on my recommended list.
With our usual warning that these are not recommended by the management, and if Ms. Haggar's recommendations do not work out, you should take 2 aspirins and call her in the morning, not me. Let's turn you over to a very healthy panel, starting with Marty Zweig.
Mariola, you said that there was a merger frenzy last year in the drug industry. Is that frenzy over, or are there still takeover or merger candidates around?
I think that for the most part, in the short run, the frenzy is probably over. I think that the weakest drug companies have already merged, trying to find strength from the combination. I think, however, that as we go into the longer-term future, there will be continuous mergers and acquisitions within the drug industry as well as within biotechnology and other healthcare sectors.
Cholesterol-reducing drugs is a massive market, and really the 3 or 4 companies who seem to be doing something have only scratched the surface. Which companies do you think will be the leading companies in capturing this market as we go forward?
As we go forward, over the next, I would say, 5 years, the 2 companies that will be leading will be Merck. Merck introduced a drug called Mevacor a couple of years ago, which is on its way to become a billion-dollar drug. And Bristol-Myers Squibb is waiting for approval of a drug called Prevacol. We hope that the approval will come by the end of this year. Those 2 drugs belong to a new novel category of molecules. And my perception is that all the other competitors are way behind these 2 companies.
Being somewhat bearish on the market, I'm always looking for some ideas for things you might sell. Are there some companies that might be hurt by the problems that the hospitals are having in losing money, like the hospital supply companies, for example?
Yes. For the most part, hospital supply companies have adjusted to the change in the environment